First of all, thank you very much for joining in on this Friday afternoon. We've got three presenters today. Shelley has been in sales many years and is celebrating 20 years of providing solutions as a supply professional. Shelley graduated from the University of Winnipeg, creating relations and providing solutions to customers, and she's enjoying helping everyone. Also always feel free to reach out to her if you have any questions or concerns, and she'd be more than willing to help you out. Like I said, our second presenter today is Heidi. She graduated from the Commerce Industry and Sales Marketing in Red River Community College in 1998, has been helping customers ever since. Heidi has been working as a territorial manager for over 10 years, 3 of which has been with Wood Wyatt. Being dependable and reliable is important to Heidi because of her customer service is very important to her. Excuse me. She is passionate about helping customers find the best product to match their cleaning needs. Looking forward to that. Okay, our final presenter, well, maybe not final, our presenter today is Tim Clifford. Tim's he's got 30 years of experience in floor care and sanitation distribution. He graduated from Haskiny School of Business, University of Calgary. A certified public educator, Tim has received his cleaning and industry management standards accreditation from the International Sanitary Supply Association. Additionally, he is a CBAC trained technician with training and preparation, respond to and recovering from biohazards in the workplace. Tim has been the director of the British Columbia Cleaning Contractors Association since 2007. I would personally like to thank all of our trainers for helping us out with this today, and looking forward to learning some stuff. Take it away.
Well, thank you so much, and hello everyone. On behalf of the professional development team, I'd like to thank you for joining me for our virtual floor care workshop. And we spent some time telling you about us. All my biography really means is that I've seen the sunrise from the inside of the building after stripping and refinishing floors all night. And as a tired old guy with bad habits and an even worse attitude, to keep as productive as my co-workers in their 20s and 30s, I've had to pick up some tricks along the way. And I would like to acknowledge many of you as well. Some who will be retiring soon, who have dedicated a life to keeping others safe in your buildings. Kudos to you. Whether that means salting the entrances early in the morning in the winter, or disinfecting all those touch points during this turbulent pandemic year. Today, we are going to talk about hard floor care. Some of the more common but tricky floor types, and to discuss how to supercharge your floor care program. Later, Heidi will disclose an awesome secret, a quick and proven method to reduce and avoid injury on the job. In each section, we will have a tips for success slide. Because there's so many of us, I would like you to keep your microphones on mute until the question period at the end. Now, whenever you do think of a question, type it into the chat box or have the person at the laptop type it in, please. We'll open it up for answers later on. And certainly, if you have a trick that you can share, make sure to mention it as well in the chat box. Would love to hear about it. And get this, to encourage you to share, there's a prize. For the person who contributes the most in the chat box, Burley has agreed to hold a parade and name a day in the school calendar in your honor. All right. So today we will discuss floor care programs, and we're going to feature the stripping process and floor coating. Now, Heidi, tell us why this matters.
Well, why should we care about floor care? Let's consider first how much money is represented by floors in your building. For every 1,000 square feet, you may be looking at as much as 20,000 in replacement costs. Flooring is the first thing that someone notices when entering a facility. If it looks dirty, they will assume the rest of the building is dirty. Studies have shown that ratings can drop as much as 75% if the appearance of the floor creates a negative impression. In addition, first impressions are important and lasting. It has been estimated that 80% of the soil entering a building does so via people's feet. A proper floor care program takes these into consideration. Protection from scratches, marks, nicks, and spills. Improved appearance. A clean and shiny surface creates a sense of trust in the facility. Ease of cleaning. Proper maintenance creates floors that are easier to clean. And safety. Proper maintenance helps prevent slip and fall accidents. Cleaning programs are broken down into 3 categories. 1, daily maintenance. 2, interim, deep scrubbing and polishing. And 3, restorative, such as stripping and refinishing. Now back to you, Tim.
Thanks. Let's look at flooring types. We'll classify floors as resilient or non-resilient. We'll leave the topic of wood floors for another workshop. Resilient floors are capable of withstanding shock, such as dropping a coffee cup onto them without permanent damage. They are made from either synthetic or natural materials. It's important to know which material you are dealing with, as many are difficult to tell apart. So let's start with 3 examples. Vinyl flooring versus linoleum flooring. It can be difficult to tell apart as both are installed in sheets and will have seams which can be damaged if you're using pads that are too abrasive. Vinyl is synthetic, composed of polyvinyl chloride, a type of plastic. Linoleum is made from a mixture of linseed oil and wood dust pressed into a burlap jute backing. Linseed oil is sensitive to high pH, such as what's found in degreasers and strippers. The result is a yellow stain that's difficult to remove and even harder to restore. Linoleum is easily damaged by highly abrasive floor pads, such as black high productivity pads. And because of this, stripping should be kept to a minimum. More about that later. If you are not sure which type of sheet flooring you have, here's a couple of hints. As you can see on the screen, for linoleum, the color itself runs throughout the sheet, whereas for vinyl, it's only on the surface. Vinyl, when installed, is shinier before any coats of floor finish go on it than linoleum. And remember that burlap jute backing that I talked about? Sometimes, even on the surface of linoleum, it may have a slight grid texture from that backing that's visible. Okay. Vinyl composite tiles versus vinyl asbestos tiles. Vinyl composite tiles are a mixture of limestone, color, and plastic chips fused together. Vinyl asbestos tiles look very similar, but treating the two the same would be a mistake. For instance, running a burnisher over an asbestos tile can kick up sharp, fibrous filaments into the air that can harm lungs. Luckily, there are a few ways to identify which one you have. So, can we depend upon the size of the tile? No, not just simply the size, because both are available in 12-inch tiles. But if it's a 6-inch or a 9-inch tile, it's quite likely asbestos. We can also disqualify whether it's asbestos by knowing when it was installed. Asbestos was available between 1952 to about 1982. The industry was actually allowed to keep selling and installing the stock that they had left. So right up to 1986, it could be asbestos. Really, other than for some, it's kind of easy to distinguish between the two. But if you do have a chipped tile or one in which the tiles aren't as tight against the seams any longer, try to look at it. If there's black underneath, that's quite likely the asphalt asbestos that forms the backing of the tile. Okay. Even though these floors are rarely confused for each other, specialty floors are worth mentioning. Luxury vinyl tile, or LVT, has become increasingly popular, and if it's not in your school yet, new construction will certainly see its introduction. It uses a graphic layer, like a photograph, underneath a textured surface to mimic just about anything that you can imagine. Wood, marble, ceramic, at a fraction of the cost of the real thing. Rubber floors are often found in cafeterias or weight rooms, and you have to be careful. Rubber is vulnerable to abrasive floor pads and also to cleaners that have solvents in them. Let's spotlight linoleum. As linoleum has been around for over 150 years, most have been mistreated at some point in their life. The scorched picture on the screen shows common damage from using alkaline cleaners or degreasers or strippers, which result in oxidation and discoloration of the linseed oil. As you can see from the picture on the right, it can be repaired, but only after hours of step-by-step rejuvenation. It's much better to use the right chemical every time. Let us know if you would like a step-by-step guide for these flooring types. These guides detail instructions from start to finish, whether you're dealing with a new floor installation or dealing with an older floor that needs stripping and refinishing. I've posted several of these guides already, and they are available for you to download. Or please contact Shelley or Heidi. They'll be glad to hook you up. The second category of floors are non-resilient or non-flexible. Ceramic, porcelain, and quarry tiles are made of clay and heated in a kiln. All three are difficult to clean due to their grout lines. And trying to protect the tiles is difficult, as finish often has a hard time adhering to their surface, flaking off. Terrazzo is a composite material consisting of a binder like cement in which marble, granite, or glass chips are added. Strong acids like soft drinks and coffee can stain the aggregates in these floors. Sealing helps to protect it and give it shine. Alternatively, these floors respond well to diamond floor pads. Polished concrete is simply a concrete that's been densified and ground down to create a smooth surface. It's very forgiving and it's easy to maintain with almost any cleaner. And epoxy isn't really a flooring type, but rather a very safe coating that goes on floors. Let's spotlight terrazzo. As it's a mixture of materials, there's special considerations. The cement, and especially the marble chips, may be attacked by strong acids, and this results in the surface becoming pitted. The use of a sealer helps to seal the pores of the cement and allows a top coat with a floor finish. Alternatively, you can what's called hone the cream or top layer with a diamond pad system to provide a smooth, wear-resistant surface. These floors can also spall or be damaged by pitting and etching from salt compounds if they're allowed to rest on the floor. When stripping concrete or terrazzo, their porosity often absorbs a bit of the stripping solution and requires extra rinsing before applying any coating. I think it's time for a pop quiz. So, Shelley, over to you.
Let's do a quick review. Do you have a cell phone handy? For our review, we will be using a program called Slido with a cell phone. On the following slide, you will see a QR code appear along with a question. Simply open your phone's camera and point at the symbol. You don't have to take a picture, just point your phone at the symbol. Then you'll get a message at the top of the phone. Just click on that screen and it'll open up the message to the app. Does everybody have it going? All right, so here's our first question. What are some of the advantages of proper floor maintenance? Protection from spills, improved appearance, ease of cleaning, safety, or all of the above? Send in your answers.
Oh.
Yay! Good job. They're all correct. Which of the flooring types do you have the most trouble with? Pick one. VCT, linoleum, LVT, or rubber flooring. Did everybody get the question? It looks like we're still having some answers come through. Linoleum seems to be the most popular. I can use a black pad to safely strip any type of floor. True or false? Yes. Good job. So let's discuss the types of cleaning. On a daily basis, you're familiar with the importance of dust mopping, vacuuming, and washing floors. Do you know how much it costs to remove 1 pound of dirt once it has been scattered throughout the building? It exceeds $750 in labor. The cost of capturing the soil at the entrance is far lower than when the soil is spread throughout the building. 1 square meter of matting can capture 1 pound of soil weekly. Proper matting helps extend the life of your floor finish and is an important part of successful floor care program. Using the proper type and length of matting at all key entrance points of the building is a proactive way to keep soil out of the buildings. Let's look at the numbers. 6 feet of matting removes 40% of soils. An extra 6 feet removes 80% of the soils. Dust mop frequently and more often, dust mop frequently and more often when the weather is bad. Increase dust mopping after high traffic periods. Change your water and mops frequently because soiled water and mops only moves around the dirt. Remember, dust mopping is still required. Dust mopping is still required before the use of most auto scrubbers. Desired results of clean floor will not be achieved if the dust mopping process is not completed. Daily cleaning involves removing soils from the surface before they cause deeper issues. There may be some areas which only require sweeping and dust mopping. Other times, we will need to use a mop to remove sticky soils and grime, which has adhered itself to the floors. When manual mopping, sometimes less is more. Damp mopping with just a bit of water allows the yarn to do the work. Using too much water makes the mop hydroplane without loosening any of the sticky soils. When an area is large enough to use equipment such as a floor machine or an auto scrubber, there are several floor pads that the auto scrubber can be outfitted with. The darker the color of the floor pad, the more aggressive. Choose the right amount of aggressiveness to remove grime, but gentle enough not to remove the finish. You can make the aggressiveness work for you by going with a lighter floor pad on freshly finished floors to make the finish last longer, and going with a darker pad before scheduled strips to help the finish walk off. I think Heidi has a few points to say to everybody now.
Yeah, that's right. Maintenance is necessary when your floors no longer respond to daily cleaning. Deep scrubbing is an example of interim maintenance meant to remove stubborn surface soils. Polishing and burnishing are examples of interim maintenance meant to improve shine. So deep scrubbing uses a stronger, cleaner, and more aggressive pad to remove a microscopic layer of old finish from the surface. It helps remove embedded dirt, scratches, scuffs, and black marks. With proper use, this maintenance procedure will help prolong the life of the finish and delay the need for stripping. It is normally achieved with a 175 RPM machine. So let's look at deep scrubbing. Dirt has embedded itself into the top layer of your finish. It can be removed in a process similar to stripping, but without the use of stripper black pads. Instead, the objective is to remove the top layer that contains the dirt while leaving the base that is still protecting the floor. The normal combination of products to carry out this method include a blue pad, a slightly alkaline chemical known as a deep scrub, and an auto scrubber. As the chemical used in this process is not as aggressive as stripper, the slurry is easily rinsed, allowing for a quick coat of new finish. This process provides a smooth, clean surface to top coat. Smoothing the surface is key to a high shine. Our eyes perceive light reflected at 90 degrees as shiny. Filling in the microscopic troughs and crests of the old finish with new allows for greater reflectance. So let us know if you would like a step-by-step guide for deep scrubbing. These one-page sheets include equipment and supplies required, easy instructions with pictures and words from start to finish. As always, measure twice, cut once. Make sure you set yourself up for success. Tips for success. When deep scrubbing, there must not be any areas of bare floor. Dirt must not have been trapped in middle layers of finish from previous recoats. Do not underdilute chemical and do not overdilute. More is not better. Always be conservative in the amount of area to be deep scrubbed and recoated. Don't put yourself in a position of having to cut corners. Do not apply sealer on top of finish. All right, Tim, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Thanks, Heidi. Polishing is another form of interim maintenance. It's performed at higher speeds than scrubbing. Spray buffing relies on the chemical cleaning and polishing action of a liquid spray buff, along with the mechanical action of a floor pad to repair scuffs in the finish and to achieve high gloss levels. And it's normally achieved with a 300 RPM to 1200 RPM machine. Burnishing at speeds above 1500 RPM allows the machine to excel at smoothing the finish, permitting for dry repair of the film, removal of black marks, and achievement of high gloss levels. We've created a library of professional cleaning videos that you can access 24/7 on our YouTube channel. I'm just going to give you an example by playing just a few seconds. Oh, you know what? It's pop quiz time already. So grab your phones again, open the camera app, point it at the QR code, and do the quiz. I can use a black pad to safely strip any type of floor. True or false? That's right. Good job. Now, when the floor no longer responds to interim processes, it's time to bring out the big guns and remove the old floor coatings and start fresh. Stripping can be broken down into 3 phases: preparation, application, and rinsing. In the preparation phase, you must first be able to answer these questions. What type of floor are you working with? It's going to determine which stripper to use, as well as the color of pad. Is there a sealer underneath the finish? Sealers are meant to be tough to remove. If you have a sealer on linoleum, you're going to have to be patient. It will be hard to remove with neutral strippers. Has a sealer been accidentally applied on top of the finish? Yikes. Expect twice the work in these situations. So a good reminder, never do it again. How old is the finish? The older the finish, the more difficult it will be to remove. If the age of the finish is older than 2 years, aggressive pads or longer contact time will be required. What type of ongoing maintenance has been done during the life of the finish? For instance, burnishing hardens the finish, making it much harder to strip. The answer to those questions will determine which pad you use to strip with. But remember, it's important to make sure that they're suitable for the flooring type. And I can't stress this tip. Never use black pads on linoleum or rubber floors. These floors take longer using blue pads to strip, but the extra time is worth not damaging the floor. Got to remember that slide. $20,000 per 1,000 square feet. That's how expensive your flooring assets can be. Okay, we've already answered this question. And we're off to the preparation phase. Okay, so of course, a bit of planning goes a long way. In this phase, you'll assemble all the required items to do the work: chemicals, equipment, and accessories. And they're detailed, again, in the handy tips and tricks sheets that can be downloaded or requested from Heidi and Shelley. A list of equipment will likely include, and this is a pretty neat little thing, an air glide to safely and easily remove furniture, a doodle bug, or better yet, a motorized doodle scrub for baseboards, a heavy swing machine, 150 to 300 RPM, a wet dry vacuum for slurry pickup, an auto scrubber for rinsing, and a blower fan to assist with drying. Let's talk about part 2, the application phase. Before applying chemical, you must read the SDS and make sure you're wearing all PPE to minimize risks. When handling the concentrate, that will likely include goggles, just in case there's a splashback. As well, just as you would never go hiking on a mountain alone, it's best to work in a team. Slippery floors, soft heads, hours unconscious after falling and bumping your head are no one's idea of working smart. Here are your typical steps. So step 1 is to check for debris, tape and gum, damaged tiles that will need additional attention. Then attack the baseboards by applying a foaming stripper. Some strippers, most foaming strippers, are not compatible with linoleum or rubber floors. Dilute the stripper according to the label using cold water, lukewarm water. Hot water will increase odors and make the product evaporate faster, forcing you to apply more stripper. Using one of your mops, soak a 10 by 10 area of floor with stripper and allow it to sit for 5 to 10 minutes. Don't let it dry. When the finish turns milky white, agitate the area with your swing machine and scrub the floor completely in a way that you don't splash the walls. Everybody knows the floors will become very slippery. So always be careful to maintain your balance and do not fall. From there, use a soft floor squeegee to check for areas with buildup and to pull away from the baseboards and potential trouble spots. If the area is shiny, push the stripping solution back onto it and wait a few more minutes and apply additional agitation to create a bare floor. I have this written down so many times in this presentation. Have patience. My best advice is to expect the worst 100% of the time and be pleasantly surprised when everything goes well 95% of the time. The next step is to check the floor again. If there's still old finish, repeat. If not, then the slurry will need to be removed. So use a wet dry vacuum to pick it up, and when done, empty your vacuum and clean it before using it in the next phase, which is rinsing. Now, although not recommended, if using an auto scrubber to strip and remove the slurry, give yourself extra time to clean the squeegees, the tanks, and the underside of the scrubber. Cleaning's required or damage will occur. Next stage is rinsing. In order to return the floor surface to a neutral pH, the floor will need to be thoroughly rinsed with water. Before rinsing, inspect for any remaining sheen or patches of old finish that are still on the floor. This is very common, and it's your last chance to get it right. Although not required, an optional acid-based product called a neutralizer can be used in the first rinsing to accelerate neutralization of the stripper residue. Now, here's a tip. If you do discover sheen at this stage, use an SPP pad and a swing machine to distribute your neutralizer, and that should remove any remnants of finish. Do not use a neutralizer in the last step of rinsing, as the acidity can cause adhesion issues with floor finish, sometimes even more than the stripper residue itself. An auto scrubber may be used in wide open areas along with mopping floor edges to neutralize the floor. And the floor should be rinsed at least twice or until the mop rinse water is clear and no residue is left on the floor. The floor can never be rinsed too much. And some final steps. When drying is completed, use your hand to check for residue on the floor. If no residue appears and the mop water is clean after the final rinse, then you can proceed to applying finish. If residue is present or the mop water is not clean, have patience. repeat the rinse. Before applying the coat, be sure that the floor is completely clean and dry. More tips. The stripping process will flick stripper onto your baseboards. It's very hard to avoid. But make sure you wipe that residue while it's still wet. If you allow it to dry, it will be very difficult to remove. Apply extra stripper on areas that look troublesome or extra grimy or you can tell have stubborn buildup. And use a soft floor squeegee to check those areas just to see if they need additional scrubbing. Inspect your baseboards and your threshold strips to make sure that they're not leaking stripper. Those leaks will ruin the appearance of your finish if you don't discover them now. Okay, this looks like just about every one of your pictures. I can tell that you're all busy bees. While the floor's drying after neutralizing and rinsing, it would be lovely just to lean on the mop and watch it dry. But we all know that's the time to clean all the equipment and accessories, clean your stripping pads, buckets, and mops, clean your buffer, vacuum, auto scrubber, and return stripper pails and stock to the closets at this time. Our video library includes step-by-step details of stripping of floors with a video dedicated separately for stripping linoleum floors. The video is approximately 7 minutes long, and it does a great job of showing you each of the steps. However, it's not meant to replace the valuable mentoring by your lead hands. So much is learned by doing, and their valuable tips and tricks will save you grief. Okay, before I turn it over to Shelley again, I've got one more quiz question. Okay, if you can, take your camera, point and shoot, and answer, what are the 3 phases in the stripping process? Sanding phase, preparation phase, leveling phase, rinsing phase, application phase. Ah, nicely done. Good. Yep. All right, over to you, Shelley.
Thanks, Tim. Most floors benefit by the application of a protective seal, followed by several applications of a suitable floor finish. These 3 questions should be asked before finishing a floor. Will the finish adhere to the floor surface? Many non-resilient floors have difficulty with finishes. Will the finish interfere with the floor performance? Safety flooring should never be finished. Can this type of floor be stripped without damage? Rubber and linoleum are special considerations. The harder the finish, the more difficult it is to remove. Sealers use different polymers than floor finishes, and sealers are applied to the floor to provide a semi-permanent protective layer. When sealers are applied correctly, they will adhere to the surface for several years. Sealers are not easily removed by most floor strippers. Finishes are generally applied on top of sealers and provide an extra layer of protection. Almost all modern finishes can be used as a sealer finish. Even still, finishes are less resilient than sealers and must be stripped and reapplied at regular intervals in order to maintain their appearance. When should you use a sealer? If you plan on maintaining the floor coating and doing regular scrub and recoats, the sealer will prolong the duration between stripping as it provides a durable, long-lasting base to work with. Many facilities have eliminated stripping altogether by carefully maintaining their floors, adhering to interim scrub and recoat schedules. Use of sealer with stone, terrazzo, concrete, and epoxy floors will help the finish stick better to the floor. Here are some ideal times for the use of sealer. When you have new floors, worn floors, highly porous floors, and to promote adhesion. And when there is high potential for stains on floors. Depending on the porosity of the floor surface, this chart highlights the coverage rates you can expect from sealers and finishes. These rates will help determine how many gallons are needed to complete a project. Thanks, Tim. When finish is applied to the floor, it dries it dries to a hard, durable, and smooth film. The film is similar in thickness of wax paper. It is expected to protect and extend the life of the floor while providing an attractive appearance and a slip-resistant surface. Many layers are needed to provide long-term protection. How many layers? Follow the rule of 100. Unsure how to apply? 100 rule applies to floors that will be buffed. Total solids will be 100. So if you've got 2 coats of sealer at 15% solids, it's equal to 30. If you've got 4 coats of finish at 18%, it's solids, it's equal to 72. Total on the floor is 102. 120 rule applies for floors that will be burnished. Tim, do you have anything to add?
Thank you so much, Shelley. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. High quality finishes contain many ingredients, and some of these evaporate. We call them the volatile components, while others remain on the floor afterwards. That's what we call the solids. Curing is the drying process that allows a floor finish or sealer to fully bond and harden to protect the floor. It normally takes 20 to 60 minutes. From the previous slide, we discussed how finishes can range between 65 to 85% water. It needs time to evaporate and allow the solids or polymers to link together into a strong, solid sheet. Floor finish dries similar to latex paint from the top surface downwards towards the floor. Therefore, a floor finish that feels dry on the surface can in fact still be wet and curing underneath. Here are some great reasons to develop patience in your life. Let's say you rush your job, leaving contaminants on the floor or maybe some residual stripper, or applying finish before each coat is dry. And on most strip and recoats, that means something can go wrong during any of the 4 or 5 coats. You can experience poor adhesion and powdering afterwards, poor gloss, streaking, cratering, fish eyes. Hold on, what's fish eyes? Fish eyes are light depressions in the finish with smooth, rounded edges and a concave center. They're the result of some sort of contamination, and they're usually created during the recoating process. Orange peeling, there's another one. That happens when you apply too thin a coat or incomplete coats to a surface. Try to give light coats of about 1 to 2 millimeters each time. It happens more often when using higher solids finishing. And of course, poor leveling also can create floor care problems. These slides describe the factors that you need to be aware of that will influence your drying time. Humidity. You may have already encountered longer drying times when it's pouring rain outside. Room temperature. The ideal is between 16 to 27 degrees Celsius. Air circulation will help promote drying. Just make sure that you're pointing your blower slightly upwards. You're trying to move air around the room rather than drying it by blowing on any one spot. And here's an important tip learned the hard way. Make sure that you have high dusted the room prior to finishing. Don't ruin your finish by pointing your blower upwards and blowing all that dust that's collected in vents and on pipes onto your wet finish. 5 thin coats will provide longevity and a clear shine. 3 thick coats may provide powdering, may provide a haze. Which one really saved you time? Remember your rule of 100. Higher solids result in thicker films and require longer curing times between coats. Finishing mops and regular wet mops are not the same. A wet mop is constructed of materials that absorb and help you pick up dirt from the floor. A finish mop is constructed of materials that release every last bit of finish onto the floor. That minimizes streaks and waviness. Microfiber applicators are lightweight and get the job done about 30% quicker. Fresh finish is applied with every squirt, and you're never having to use a wringer to get to the right dampness. Finish with an applicator can be applied as quick as you walk. Our video library includes step-by-step details of recoating floors. Let's have a look at refinishing floors with a microfiber applicator.
Proper maintenance and frequency can save you money in your floor care program, all the while keeping your floors looking their best. A step-by-step process must be followed when applying floor finish to ensure the finish will properly cure and bond to the floor. Finish is mainly applied in one of 2 manners: a microfiber flat mopping system or a traditional finish mop using a bucket and wringer. Due to its time savings, we will focus on the flat mopping technique. The first step is to ensure the floor has been properly prepared and all soils and any old coatings have been completely removed. Before walking on the floor to check the quality of preparation, ensure your shoes are clean. Place safety signs around the working area. Fill your microfiber system with finish, and do not use more than you need. Respect application rates and plan accordingly. Some floors or sites may require the application of a base coat, called a floor sealer. The application technique is the same, but the coverage rate is less, approximately 250 to 400 square feet per liter, or 25 to 35 square meters per liter. To start, evenly saturate the microfiber pad with floor finish. To avoid streaking, it is best to frame a working area, then fill in the center. This will ensure, as you make turns with your mop, it will be in a wet and not a dry area. Frame a 3-sided boxed area approximately 10 feet on each side and 6 feet across the top. Turn your mop lengthways and frame the boxed area for the first coat, along with the baseboards, being sure to avoid touching the wall. On subsequent coats, move out 2 to 4 inches from the wall. This will provide protection in all needed areas without buildup along the edges. Once this step is complete, make a 180-degree turn and move to the top of the box. Start applying finish in a back and forth figure 8 pattern, walking backwards, and ensure to rotate the mop using your wrists. Always lead the mop using the same edge. Overlap 3 to 5 inches on each mopping pass, and always use the same leading edge of the mop. Add additional finish to the mop when you feel a slight drag on the mop on the floor. This will be pronounced during the first 1 to 2 coats of finish. Do not rush. Walk at a comfortable pace and slow down if the mop encounters drag or if the floor is slightly uneven. It is best.
So, again, you can rely upon those type of videos to walk you step by step through the process. Here's some more tips. And please, I encourage you to share your tips in the chat box. For instance, I'd like to retire by writing a book on the subject, so I'll use your tips. Help me retire. Edges around the baseboards always get special attention. So go right up to the baseboard on the first and the last coat only. For all coats in between, stay at least 4 to 6 inches away. Just remember, these are areas that don't experience traffic and will be significantly easier to strip the next time. They might always look grimy, but that's not from foot traffic. That's typically from our own mopping efforts. And let us know if you'd like a step-by-step guide for finishing. Again, these one-page sheets include the equipment and supplies that are required, and easy instructions and pictures and words from start to finish. And here's some more tips for success. Always avoid pouring finish onto the floor directly from the jug. If you've already got a coat or two that are drying, they can re-emulsify that. It just looks a mess. Only dispense the amount required for 1 coat on the area being covered. And if using a mop, squeeze just enough finish out of the mop until there's no drips. Never use the same mop for finish that was used for sealers. Avoid mixing the mops up. It's best to actually have 2 different colors, maybe even just on the bands of the mop, somehow indicating it. And if using an applicator, put more down once you experience drag. That tells you that the amount needs a little more finish. Okay, that was actually a lot to cover in one session. Heidi, I think you've got a secret to share on
I
avoiding
do have a
injury.
secret to share. Yes, Tim, you were correct. So a few jobs use as many of the major muscles as a few hours of floor stripping and finishing. An ounce of prevention goes a long way. Stretching before, during, and after activities has been shown to reduce injuries. So consider doing a little stretching before taking on a large task. In fact, let's try one right now. We've all been sitting for a while, so I invite you all to stand up with me, please. Okay, so with your hands on your hips, simply roll forward, roll to the right, roll back, and roll to the left. Okay, now we're going to do it again. So to the forward, to the right, back, and left. A little wider. One more time. Forward, right, back, left. Great. Now we're going to rotate the other way. So forward, to the left, back, and to the right. Again, forward, to the left, then back and to the right. Forward, to the left, and back and to the right. Good job. Great. Oh, that felt good. And you know what else feels good? Asking questions. Well, we have so many experienced participants present today to provide answers. So if you'd like to ask using the chat, please go ahead. Otherwise, open up your mics and let's hear them.
While we're waiting for questions, I just want to make a comment on a cleaning pad that I've been very successful with this last little bit. It's called a 3M Clean and Shine pad. And with this pad, you actually put it on an auto scrubber and you wash your floors with it. And what it does, it adds luster back to your floors and eliminates the need to burnish or polish for up to 3 to 4 times. And so it's labor saving as well. So if you guys want more information, I'd be happy to share it. Many of my facilities have transitioned to this floor pad because it's worked on their floors.
I have a question for our trainers. A lot of our entrance ways and high traffic areas, we are switching over to sheet vinyl. Now we're told by the manufacturers that this product does not need to be waxed or finished or sealed. Am I hearing the right story?
Tim is a great expert on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have at her, Tim.
Okay, Burley, you know what, for the first 3-4 years, I think that they can very confidently say that it doesn't need to be sealed. What they call a permanent coating, protective coating, is applied to it at the factory, and every manufacturer of sheet vinyl right now will be telling you exactly the same thing. After the 3-4 year mark, so we've seen this product out there for at least a dozen years now. Just as far as the appearance goes, that permanent layer, which you've been using as a, as the wear layer, does exactly that. And it will benefit after a few years, appearance-wise, by putting finish on it. Protection-wise, they have done a really good job of making that permanent coating one that protects their product, but appearance-wise. And with all those little micro scratches, cleaning will become more and more difficult as the floor ages, more difficult than if you do put on a sacrificial finish layer.
Now, with the sacrificial finish layer,
Yeah.
should it start with a sealer or can we go straight to the finish coating?
Tell you the truth, there's several different types of no-wax floorings right now, and there's an in-between product that we call vertical lustrix, which improves the appearance of it without committing yourself to a strip and re-wax program. So yeah, Shelley and Heidi would be able to provide you with a lot of information on that. It would be definitely the most bang for your buck and no more labor than just simply using a daily cleaner. So
Yeah, can be used in a mop and bucket or an auto scrubber.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
And the clean and shine pad, if you use that too, it'll help.
Okay.
I've actually got a question for the group. So I'm going to share my screen again. This is something that Heidi noticed earlier on one of the slides. So we're talking about the thickness of application. She pointed something kind of what looked peculiar in this slide. What do you think it is?
At first, I thought it was my legs, but I think I'm wrong.
Yes.
Do those socks look safety approved? Do you think those are steel-toed socks? Okay. So, and I absolutely welcome you to go off of mute now. Why would they simply be wearing socks at this moment? So this is after the stripping, and we're now refinishing the floor.
In order to keep the floor as clean as possible?
You got it. You got it. Not only do you have a squeaky door at Roof Hooker School, but I think so far you're leading that prize for Burley naming a day and holding a parade for you. So,
Looking forward to it.
you know what? Wearing socks, just using, taking off the boots that you used to strip with, definitely a great idea. I'm not quite sure if you have to go to sock feet, but yeah, make sure that at this stage of the game, you're not ruining everything by tracking in residue from earlier stages. Yeah. Oh, everybody's looking forward to the weekend, I can tell. Well, I would like to thank you for this opportunity for being able to deliver our first virtual floor care training for Western Canada. Thank you very much, Burley, for inviting us to do so, and thanks to all of you for your attendance.
Thank you very much to the three of you trainers. Outstanding job, very informative. And I know nobody wanted to be here on a Friday afternoon, but I really do appreciate all of my custodial staff and the hard work they do every day. And I hope they do enjoy their weekend. Go Jets, go.
Go Jets, go.
Yes.
And thank you very much, Tim, Shelley, Heidi. There you go.
You betcha. You betcha.
All right.
A pleasure.
Yeah.
The recording will be made available, Burley, for those who could not attend.
Okay. Yes, I'd appreciate that. And tell my custodial staff, if anybody has any questions, Shelley is your direct contact. Of course, loop me in on the questions. Or if you want to deal with me directly, and then I'm going to ask Shelley anyway. So, but
Save the step.
that's right. So everyone take care. Have a great weekend. Again, thank you.
It's nice seeing everybody.